Welcome to this space of wisdom. In this very moment, all of us are navigating the relentless waves of various emotions, relationship conflicts, job pressures, vague anxieties about the future, or perhaps the fear of losing a loved one, or the dread of one's own aging and sickness. These worries often feel like heavy chains, shackling our hearts, dulling the brightness of our daily lives. Why do we suffer so much? It might be because we desperately seek what is unchanging. But what if this constant state of flux is the very truth of life? And that by understanding and accepting this flow, the burden on your heart could suddenly feel lighter? Wouldn't you want to know that path? The teachings of Buddhism offer precisely that path. The wisdom that has been passed down for over 2.5 millennia resonates deeply with the complex anxieties of modern society. Today, we will explore two core truths, proclaimed by the Buddha: Anicca, impermanence, and Paṭicca-samuppāda, dependent origination. These two teachings reveal the root of our suffering and illuminate a practical way to free ourselves from it. By the time you finish watching this video, I believe a new perspective will have dawned in your heart, giving you a reliable compass to confidently navigate the waves of life. Let us begin this journey to find the true peace hidden deep within your mind. A long time ago, in a small village nestled among the lush, green mountains of ancient India, there lived a young man named Aruna. Aruna was more diligent than anyone, and beloved by all the villagers. Yet his heart was constantly troubled by a gnawing anxiety, and a sense of urgency about time slipping through his fingers like sand. He felt an unbearable suffering over the certainty that his joyful moments with friends would end someday, that the bountiful harvest in the fields would eventually be covered by winter's cold, and above all, that his happy days with his beloved family would not last forever. His mind was exhausted, constantly tossed about by the waves of change. Much like a small boat on a rough sea. One day, deep in the forest near his village, Aruna encountered a wise sage sitting peacefully in meditation. The sage, Deva, had deep wrinkles etched onto his face, but his gaze was astonishingly clear, radiating a quiet light that seemed to see right into the depths of Aruna's soul. Gathering his courage, Aruna confessed his suffering to the sage. "Revered sage, I cannot escape the fear that any happiness I grasp will eventually be lost. How can I find eternal peace, free from this anxiety?" Sage Deva smiled gently and imparted a teaching to Aruna. "Aruna, the root of your suffering lies in your attempt to find the unchanging within this changing world. Everything in this world is anicca, impermanent, meaning it is constantly changing and never stays the same. Your emotions, your relationships, your wealth, and even your own body are never the same for a single moment. Furthermore, this wave of change is not an isolated phenomenon. Everything arises because of causes and conditions, and ceases when those causes and conditions fade. This is Paṭicca-samuppāda, dependent origination. The understanding that everything exists in interdependence. One event forms its temporary shape only through its relationship with countless others. Would there be a rich summer harvest without the spring rain? And yet, that very harvest, too, will reach its end in autumn. Do not seek the eternal, but simply begin by observing what is happening right now, in front of you, accepting it as a temporary, changing phenomenon, just as it is. Aruna returned to his village, taking the sage's words to heart. For the next few days, he began to practice the sage's teaching. Initially, he observed the feeling of anxiety welling up within him simply as a temporary movement of the mind. Instead of clinging to it or fighting to overcome it, he merely acknowledged it. Anxiety is here now. He gazed at it, much like watching a cloud drift across the sky. Strangely, the emotion no longer dominated him as it used to. And eventually, it quietly dissipated. Later, when he had a small disagreement with a neighbor, he recalled the teaching of dependent origination. He understood that this quarrel was a temporary event that arose from the interaction of countless conditions or dependencies. The neighbor's mood that day, their lack of sleep last night, his own choice of words, the atmosphere of the place. It was not a fixed, inherent entity. Like, the neighbor is fundamentally a bad person. This realization brought forth not fierce anger towards the other person, but a deep sense of compassion and empathy. As Aruna maintained his composure and spoke kindly again, the neighbor's attitude quickly softened, and their relationship became stronger than before. Aruna's inner peace rippled through the entire village, like a calm body of water. His gentle demeanor absorbed the anxiety and anger of those around him, easing the tension in the atmosphere. He realized that happiness was not a fixed goal somewhere in the distant future, but resided in the process. The ability to maintain peace of mind in every moment of change, and to build compassionate relationships with others. A few weeks later, the shadow of anxiety was gone from Aruna's face, replaced by the same quiet, clear light that shone in the sage's eyes. By accepting the truth of impermanence and dependent origination, he did not become isolated from the world. Rather, he found a deeper connection to it and gained the strength to embrace every wave of life without fear. The worries we face in modern society seem diverse, but if we dig deep into their roots, they are no different from the suffering Aruna experienced. We desire good states, our loved ones, status, honor, or youth and health to last forever. And at the same time, we strongly wish for bad states, stress, difficulty, or misfortune never to happen again. However, the real world, contrary to our eternal seeking mind, is in constant flux and transformation. For example, the jealousy or inferiority we feel when seeing others' success on social media arises from perceiving our current state or evaluation as something fixed, or something we don't want to change, and feeling it's threatened by comparison with others. Similarly, anxiety about achieving a goal is an illusion, woven from the clinging to an image of the successful self that we never want to let go of, combined with the fear of change represented by, what if I fail? We strive to freeze every event around us, as if in a photograph, trying to permanently preserve the good moment. This is an inherently impossible endeavor. and this very resistance to making the impossible possible is what creates the structure of all dukkha suffering. To break free from this structure of suffering, Buddhism offers us two mirrors: Anicca, impermanence, and Paṭicca-samuppāda, dependent origination. First, Anicca teaches the truth that everything is temporary and is changing moment by moment. Your feelings, your successes, and your failures are all like fleeting clouds. Accepting this truth brings a deep sense of relief to the anxious mind. Telling it, "It's okay, this too shall pass. If you are in difficulty now, it is not forever. And if you are happy now, there is no need to desperately cling to it." This very fluidity is the dynamism of life itself. Second, Paṭicca-samuppāda asserts that no phenomenon in this world exists independently. Everything is interconnected and relies on others for existence. Your current suffering is a temporary result that arose from the confluence of countless conditions, your past actions, others' behavior, social circumstances, and random events. Conversely, this also means that through your own intentional actions, you can change the connection of conditions in the future. We cannot control the situations around us, but we hold the complete freedom of choice in how we react to those situations. Understanding and remembering these two teachings daily is the indispensable wisdom for resolving the complex worries of modern people. The teachings of the Buddha, impermanence and dependent origination, are not just ancient philosophical concepts. They are highly practical guides for addressing contemporary challenges, such as burnout, the need for a digital detox, and the stress of complex human relationships. Applying Anicca imperfection to modern challenges. Burnout and self-worth. Burnout often begins when we view past success as an immutable measure of our ability, and relentlessly push ourselves to achieve more. From the perspective of impermanence, past success was merely a temporary result, born from countless conditions: the environment, the team, health, and the zeitgeist of the time. This understanding liberates us from the compulsion to always be on top, and creates the mental space to accept failure. Knowing, "My current state is temporary," we learn to place our self-worth not in fixed achievements, but in the ever-changing, evolving process of growth. Digital detox and the flood of information. The infinite information pouring from the internet violently shakes our perception of the present. One opinion may gain overwhelming support, only for a different view to emerge the next moment. Knowing impermanence provides the perspective to calmly distance ourselves, recognizing that this opinion, this trend, is a temporary phenomenon, without being swept away by the information flow. This frees us from overreacting to information and the fear of missing out (FOMO), allowing us to focus on what truly matters. The state of my own mind in this very moment. Applying Paṭicca-samuppāda dependent origination to modern challenges. Resolving complex relationships when troubled by conflict with a boss or a family member. We often focus on fixed causes like the other person's personality or essence. However, the teaching of dependent origination shows that the conflict is a temporary event that originated as a result of the mutual interaction of countless factors. The other person's past experience, their mood that day, your choice of words, and the physical environment of the location. With this understanding, instead of trying to change the other person, we focus on the conditions we can control, such as changing my words, changing the environment of the dialogue, or looking at the suffering behind the other person's reaction. By acting on the conditions we can influence, the situation is bound to start improving. Environmental issues and social responsibility problems like environmental destruction or social inequality can feel distant and unrelated to us. But dependent origination clearly shows that every single, small condition, our daily consumption choices, our purchasing decisions, the casting of a vote connects as a significant result for the entire planet. This understanding of interdependence motivates compassionate and sustainable actions, not out of mere obligation, but based on a deep empathy that everything is one. Specific steps for daily practice. I encourage you to start integrating these two teachings into your daily life today. By following these practical steps, the practice of awareness moments, practicing impermanence when a strong emotion, joy, anger, sadness, anxiety, etc., arises during your day, pause. Gently repeat to yourself, this too will change. Do not suppress the emotion, but simply observe how its intensity changes over time. This practice loosens the grip of clinging to emotions by identifying them with yourself, and develops the perspective of seeing emotions as temporary phenomena. The practice of gratitude for interdependence, practicing dependent origination before eating a meal, or when you acquire something new. Consciously reflect on how many conditions had to come together for it to reach you. For example, for a loaf of bread, reflect on the farmer who grew the wheat, the person who transported it, the seller, and all the conditions, like sunlight and rain, that made it possible. This practice of gratitude helps us feel deeply that we do not live in isolation, but are part of a vast network of life, liberating us from a self-centered viewpoint. The choice of intentional response, applying dependent origination. When you are in a stressful situation or criticized by someone, pause and take a breath before reacting impulsively with anger or a defensive attitude. Then, ask yourself, what kind of future do I want to condition create now? Lashing out with anger creates the condition for further conflict. Conversely, responding with calm and understanding creates the condition for reconciliation. By focusing your attention on what you choose to put out as a cause, you can become the creator of your own destiny. Friends, today we have deeply explored the Buddhist two great teachings, Anicca impermanence and Paṭicca-samuppāda dependent origination. All suffering in life stems from our minds desperate, clinging to try and grasp the unchanging within a world that is constantly in motion. The truth, however, is that everything is perpetually changing, and this wave of change is woven from the mutual interaction of countless causes and conditions. Accepting this truth is by no means an admission of defeat or apathy. Instead, it grants us the courage to live this moment to the fullest, and the compassion to deeply understand our connection to others. Knowing Anicca becomes the strength to truly appreciate the happiness we have now, and understanding Paṭicca-samuppāda becomes the powerful hope that every one of your intentional actions has. The power to shape the future and the world. The wisdom to not be overwhelmed by the waves of life, but to understand their flow and navigate them gracefully, is already within you. Starting today, observe every event that unfolds before you with a quiet mind, acknowledging this too is a temporary, passing phenomenon. And ask yourself with a compassionate heart, what kind of future will my next action condition create? I sincerely hope that peace finds its way into your heart, and that this peace spreads to the world around you. May your life's journey be serene and full of wisdom. If this story resonated with you and provided some insights or learning, I'd be delighted if you could press the like button. Also, if you subscribe to the channel, I'll be able to continue sharing various life wisdom and lessons with you. Please share your experiences and thoughts in the comments section as well. Each person's experience becomes valuable learning for other viewers. Thank you so much for watching this video to the end today. I look forward to meeting you all again in the next video.